When visitors stroll through London's elegant Bloomsbury district, past the British Museum's columned facade, through the leafy tranquility of Russell Square Gardens, few realise they're walking through one family's private kingdom. Indeed, the Dukes of Bedford, or the Russell family, have shaped this corner of London for 5 centuries, transforming it from muddy fields into a masterpiece of urban planning that still defines the city's heart. And their rise from provincial gentry to architects of modern London's most valuable real estate reads like a British swashbuckling epic. Starting with a chance encounter during the Tudor era that catapulted one family from country squires to multimillionaires, in today's episode, join us as we give you a one-of-a-kind, old money luxury tour through an invisible empire as we describe the old money British family secretly buying up central London, the Dukes of Bedford. Meet the Russells, more illustriously known as the Dukes of Bedford, Britain's aristocrats with pockets as deep as the deer park surrounding their ancestral seat, Woburn Abbey. And, as of 2024, this storied family has managed to cling tightly to a net worth of £801 million, placing them comfortably at 210th on the Sunday Times rich list. Indeed, that's no small feat when you consider the shrinking ranks of titled nobility with actual wealth to back their titles. And the backbone of this fortune is acres and acres of prime British soil, most notably the sprawling lands around Woburn Abbey in Bedfordshire, which has served as the family's ancestral seat for generations. At the helm of this legacy is Andrew Ian Henry Russell, the 15th Duke of Bedford, who stepped into the role in 2003. Married to Louise Rona Cramond, they have 2 children, including their son, Henry Robin Charles Russell. Born in 2005 and already saddled with the somewhat weighty title of Marquess of Tavistock, young Henry is the heir apparent, slated to inherit not just the title, but also the challenges of managing one of Britain's great remaining estates. Woburn Abbey itself is a sight to behold. A grand 17th-century mansion, it sits within a 3,000-acre deer park and, if that weren't enough, it boasts a safari park and a golf course. While the lions in the safari park might lend a little exotic flair, it's the estate's location in Bedfordshire and its enduring English charm that cements it as a standout. And that's just their rural domain. Head into London and you'll find the family's name imprinted on some of the city's most iconic real estate, particularly around Bloomsbury and Bedford Square, a neighbourhood they practically own. The Russells also hold a unique position within British society, brushing shoulders with royalty and high society, as they've done for centuries. Historical ties run deep, with several family members having served as advisors and courtiers to British monarchs over the years. And the current Duke, as one of the country's largest landowners, still commands a social and economic influence that most politicians would envy. Thus, in a world where old money often dissolves into museum foundations or dubious auctions, the Russells are an anomaly, a rare example of an aristocratic family not only holding on to their fortune, but thriving. And yet, to truly understand how this family came to quietly control the heart of London, we must travel back to a stormy night in 1506, when fate washed a Spanish prince onto English shores. The extraordinary rise of the Bedford family from provincial gentry to one of Britain's most powerful aristocratic dynasties began with a remarkable twist of fate at the dawn of the Tudor period. John Russell's pivotal moment came not through a chance encounter with Henry VIII, as often misreported, but through an unexpected maritime mishap. In 1506, Archduke Philip of Castile and his wife Joanna were shipwrecked off the Dorset coast near Weymouth. Russell, a local gentleman with exceptional linguistic abilities, was summoned to serve as their interpreter. His sophisticated manner and linguistic prowess so impressed the royal couple that they recommended him to the court of Henry VII, marking the beginning of the family's remarkable ascent. Russell proved himself an extraordinarily capable servant to both Henry VII and his son Henry VIII, demonstrating particular skill in diplomatic missions and military campaigns during the turbulent years of the English Reformation. His competence and loyalty earned him steady advancement. He was elevated to Baron Russell in 1539, and his service continued to be valued by Henry VIII's son, Edward VI, who elevated him to Earl of Bedford in 1550. The family's fortunes were transformed dramatically in 1552 when Edward VI granted Russell the lands of Covent Garden. This was not, as sometimes suggested, a dissolution acquisition, but rather a direct royal grant. The property, which had previously belonged to Westminster Abbey, represented a significant holding in what would become one of London's most vital districts. Its strategic location, nestled between the City of London and Westminster, positioned the family perfectly to benefit from the capital's future expansion. The Russells continued to expand their London holdings through both strategic marriages and shrewd acquisitions. A particularly significant expansion came in 1669 when the family acquired the Bloomsbury estate through marriage. William Russell wed Lady Rachel Vaughan, who had inherited these valuable lands. This matrimonial coup effectively doubled their London property empire, giving them control over vast swathes of what would become prime central London real estate. Their growing status and influence were further recognised in 1694 with their elevation to the Dukedom of Bedford. What truly distinguished the Bedfords from their aristocratic contemporaries was their innovative approach to property management. They implemented a sophisticated long-term leasehold strategy rather than selling freeholds for immediate profit. This forward-thinking approach, established in the 16th century and maintained through successive generations, ensured the family would continue to benefit from London's exponential growth for centuries to come. Their method of estate management became a model that other aristocratic landowners would later emulate, though few would match the scale and success of the Bedford estate. The transformation of the Bedford family from traditional aristocratic landowners into pioneering property developers began in 1630 under Francis Russell, the fourth Earl of Bedford. His visionary decision to commission Inigo Jones, England's first classical architect, to design Covent Garden Piazza marked a watershed moment in London's urban development. This innovative project created Britain's first formal square, introducing Italian-inspired design principles that would reshape the capital's architectural landscape for centuries to come. Jones's elegant piazza, with its harmonious proportions and pioneering use of uniform facades, represented a radical departure from London's medieval urban fabric. At its heart stood St. Paul's Church, known as the Actors' Church, while the square itself was ringed by grand porticoed buildings that set new standards for metropolitan architecture. The development proved immediately successful, attracting wealthy residents and establishing a template for aristocratic property speculation that would be widely imitated. After Francis Russell's death in 1641, subsequent earls and dukes continued to develop the estate's commercial potential. A significant milestone came in May 1670, when the fifth Earl of Bedford secured a formal charter for Covent Garden Market. Under the family's careful stewardship, this market evolved into one of London's most important centres for fruit, vegetables and flowers, providing a steady stream of revenue for the estate. Through the 18th century, the Bedford estate expanded with remarkable foresight. The creation of Bedford Square, begun in 1776 under the supervision of Thomas Leverton, represented a new achievement in Georgian town planning. Its elegant houses attracted professional residents and established the area as one of London's most fashionable addresses. The square's success prompted further development northward. In 1800, Francis Russell, the fifth Duke of Bedford, commissioned the development of Russell Square, marking an even more ambitious phase in the estate's expansion. The square's houses, designed by James Burton, incorporated the latest architectural innovations while maintaining the estate's high standards. This period also saw the systematic development of the streets connecting these grand squares, creating the ordered street pattern that still characterizes Bloomsbury today. By the turn of the century, the Bedford estate had established itself as London's premier urban developer, their properties setting standards for both architectural quality and commercial success. Their developments had transformed a formerly peripheral area into one of London's most desirable districts, while their innovative use of building leases ensured long-term control and income. This period cemented the family's reputation for combining aristocratic prestige with commercial innovation, creating an enduring legacy in London's built environment. The 19th century marked the zenith of the Bedford estate's influence in London, with their holdings reaching their greatest geographical extent. During this period, the careful management of both their urban and rural properties demonstrated the family's ability to adapt to Britain's rapid industrialisation and urbanisation. John Russell, 6th Duke of Bedford, made his most significant impact through agricultural innovation at Woburn Abbey. Under his stewardship, Woburn became renowned throughout Europe for its experimental farming techniques. The Duke established systematic crop rotation methods, pioneered new approaches to animal breeding, and conducted extensive agricultural trials. These innovations transformed Woburn into a model of scientific farming that would influence British agriculture for generations. The estate's London holdings saw steady development throughout the century, with new squares and streets being laid out to accommodate the capital's growing population. The creation of Tavistock Square and Gordon Square exemplified the estate's continued commitment to planned urban development, maintaining the high architectural standards established in the previous century. These squares, with their elegant terraces and communal gardens, attracted a mixture of professional and artistic residents who gave the area its distinctive character. The presence of the British Museum, which had opened its doors in Bloomsbury in 1759, proved to be a catalyst for the area's intellectual development. The surrounding streets became home to numerous educational and cultural institutions, enhancing the prestige of the Bedford estate's properties. The estate management demonstrated remarkable adaptability in responding to London's changing needs, developing various housing types while maintaining strict building standards. Infrastructure improvements played a crucial role in the estate's development during this period. New roads were laid out, modern sewerage systems installed, and gas lighting introduced throughout the estate. These improvements, combined with careful attention to architectural quality and urban amenities, ensured that the Bedford properties remained among London's most desirable addresses. By the century's close, the Bedford estate had created a unique urban landscape that successfully balanced commercial interests with architectural excellence. Their developments provided housing for various social classes while maintaining the area's overall character. This careful approach to estate management established standards that would influence urban development well into the following century. The 20th century posed unprecedented challenges to Britain's landed aristocracy, as death duties, taxation, and social change threatened their traditional way of life. The Bedford family, however, demonstrated remarkable adaptability. The interwar years saw them undertake a strategic reorganisation of their holdings, selling outlying properties to preserve their core London estate. This pragmatic approach, while reducing their overall land holdings, ensured the family's continued influence over their most valuable assets in central London. A pivotal moment came in 1955 when the 13th Duke, John Russell, opened Woburn Abbey to the public. This decision, driven by the need to maintain the historic house in the face of mounting costs, proved prescient. Woburn rapidly became one of Britain's most successful stately homes, pioneering the heritage tourism model that many other aristocratic families would later adopt. The Duke's innovative approach included introducing a safari park, which opened in 1970 and established new standards for wildlife conservation in Britain. The management of the London estate underwent significant professionalisation during this period. The old system of direct aristocratic oversight gave way to professional property management, with the establishment of the Bedford Estate Office. This modernisation enabled more efficient operation of the extensive property portfolio while maintaining the family's traditional commitment to architectural quality and long-term stewardship. In Bloomsbury and Covent Garden, the estate navigated the complex challenges of urban renewal. The post-war period saw careful rehabilitation of historic properties, balancing preservation with the need to meet modern commercial requirements. The estate's management proved particularly adept at maintaining the architectural character of their holdings while adapting them to changing market demands. The late 20th century brought new challenges and opportunities. The estate focused on strategic property development, particularly in Bloomsbury, where it worked to accommodate the expanding needs of educational institutions while preserving the area's historic character. In Covent Garden, the transformation of the former market area into a major retail and entertainment destination exemplified the estate's ability to adapt historic properties to contemporary uses. Environmental sustainability became a key focus in recent decades. The estate implemented innovative conservation measures across its properties, from energy-efficient retrofitting of historic buildings to sustainable urban landscaping initiatives. These efforts demonstrated how historic estates could adapt to modern environmental concerns while preserving their architectural heritage. Today, under professional management, the Bedford estate continues to exert significant influence over central London's development. While the family's direct involvement has evolved, their legacy of long-term stewardship and commitment to architectural quality remains evident in their property management approach. The estate has successfully transitioned from aristocratic landholding to modern property enterprise while maintaining its historic character and influence over one of London's most significant districts. This transformation represents a remarkable example of how Britain's historic estates can adapt to modern conditions while preserving their cultural and architectural heritage. Today, the estate represents a unique combination of historical legacy and modern business acumen, maintaining its position as one of London's most significant private landowners, while adapting to contemporary urban needs and market demands. And now, we'd like to see you in the comments. What is your opinion on aristocrats owning large parts of London and the rest of the UK? Is it good that we keep it in the family, so to speak, and have Brits running things, or is it too old-fashioned to have old money families owning everything? Let us know your thoughts. And thanks for joining us for another episode. Cheers, until next time.